What's up, tribe? So I'm looking extremely happy right now because I'm about to talk about depression and anxiety. That doesn't make any sense. Let's start out with some of my struggles, because I feel like when you hear other people talk about their depression and their mental issues, it can kind of help you feel a little bit more open, a little bit more with whatever you're going through. The first time I really remember feeling depressed, I think I was like 13 or 14, and you know, like, everything is extremely dramatic at that age. And if you're at that age, just know your hormones are all over the place. It's not really your fault. Your opinions are valid, your emotions are valid, but you're gonna be a lot more in your feels at that age because, like, you're becoming an adult. I remember just kind of like being in my room, and I always grew up feeling like extremely angry that I was back in this dimension, which at the time as a child I didn't really understand what the hell I was talking about. I just remember like always telling my parents, like, I didn't ask for this, I didn't ask to be here, and just like really like not being content with the whole being a human in the third dimension concept. So yeah, I remember sitting in my room and just feeling extremely suicidal and just having this moment of like, if I had a gun right now, I would literally shoot my brains out. And I don't really know why. I have a great background. I had both of my parents in my life. They did their best trying to give me like a very comfortable life. They helped me get to where I am now. They paid thousands of dollars worth of dance classes, and on the outside maybe I didn't seem like I was so depressed, but I remember just feeling like really not okay. Usually, like, when we're feeling depressed, there's a lot of different ways people deal with it. Any kind of substance abuse. And when I say substance abuse, use something to make you feel better. So that could be food, that could be sweets, that could be alcohol, that could be weed, that could be other kinds of drugs. Anything that basically helps you feel better.
An external source of your happiness.
Or some people will deal with it just kind of closing everybody away, not speaking to anybody, and not really having a real reason why, just kind of feeling this like eternal sadness. So yeah, it's more than just feeling sad. It's a chemical imbalance going on in your brain, and it's not always your fault. Then I noticed it come back around when I was about 18, and then again when I was 21. So when I was 18, I was 17. I had this traumatic experience happen when I was in high school. Maybe I'll do a story time on it sometime, but basically I fainted on like a class trip, and everyone said that I was like ODing on stuff, which really wasn't the case. I literally just fainted because I'm low blood sugar. I fainted several times after that. And then when I went to the hospital, they tested me for drugs and there was nothing in my system, yet I still was technically expelled from high school. All of my friends didn't want to be my friend anymore because then they had to get called out for whatever drugs they were on or had on them, and everybody got searched. And everyone kind of turned their back on me. I felt super alone, and then things weren't good at home, and I decided I needed to take on the world by myself, so I was living alone. There was a bunch of like traumatic experiences happening around that time, and I felt really depressed. And I remember just thinking, okay, well, I'm just gonna party and do what I can and take whatever I can until one day I just OD and that's the end of me. So like that was literally my plan at 17 years old. Then I met the love of my life, my now husband Jack, and I kind of made this promise with the universe. I was like, literally,
okay, God, universe, whoever's out there, if things work out with this, then I will give life my best shot. I'm not gonna half-ass it, and I'll really do what I can to love myself and feel good and be healthy.
And things did work out, and I was doing that from then on. And then it kind of happened again when I was like 21. And I think everyone kind of goes through this at 21, because especially in America, the drinking age is 21. So you're thinking about like, oh, I want to be old enough to where I feel respected and I get to go to all these cool places and these clubs and bars, and then you get there and you're like,
what the fuck? Like, this is like not what I was hoping for.
You know what I mean? And so then you have to like face these like real life situations where maybe you just graduated college, or you have to start getting a real job and start really figuring out what the am I going to do for my future. And that can be really overwhelming. You might feel like a plastic bag floating in the wind.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again?
Yeah, you just kind of have to get back up and figure it out. So around that time is when I found yoga, and then that really helped me heal myself. And I want to say I haven't had one of those bouts again of depression, but I have. There were little spurts of it here and there. When I was living in England, I went through it as well, and I learned now that that's something that's a seasonal depression. So the weather and your outside experience, everything that's happening around you can really affect your own chemical imbalance in your brain. And that time I was a lot better at hiding it. And I've had all these experiences where I get into these like dark parts of myself, and I get in my own head, and I just start feeling like I'm nothing. Maybe you can relate. Luckily, I kind of know how to get myself out of it now, so those are the things that I want to share with you. And I feel like depression and anxiety kind of go hand in hand, so we're going to talk about it. I read this quote that says, "You're alive, so act like it. At the very least, just be thankful you're here living another day. Even if things are freaking miserable, someone else probably has it worse." And maybe you've heard that before, but it's hard to be original on the internet. Usually when I start to feel anxiety or depression, it's because I'm taking on way too much. So I'm looking at like where I have to be, the end goal, even if I'm like, or if I'm not sure where I'm gonna be, something along those lines. And instead of looking, like I really feel this when I'm like doing like this big hike or something like that. You might be halfway through it, and then you kind of like look and see you have like 5 more miles up this hill to go through. Whereas when I start looking at that, I start to like freak out a little bit.
Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to make it, my body's tired.
Whereas if I'm just looking at what's in front of me, and I'm just taking it one step at a time, I'm able to just get through it. And the best tool that I've found right now, and it sounds so basic, but write out your feels. When you're dealing with like some mental thing in your brain of like a situation that's happened, or something that you have to accomplish, or you're just not feeling great, write that shit out. Get a journal, get a piece of paper, and just write it out. It might not even make sense, but there's like this emotional release that happens when you are writing. It's like you can like let go of these things that aren't serving you. Maybe not right away, maybe you're gonna have to keep doing it, but keeping a journal or some sort of like time where you can write out what's going on for you, it's sort of like you have someone to listen to your problem. The cheapest therapist ever. And I don't mean just like on your phone, like legit write that shit out. Get a pen, get a pencil, get a marker, get some chalk, write it on the sidewalk. Whatever you gotta do, write it out, let the feels flow onto the paper, whatever you're writing on. So back to that chemical imbalance. Usually it's like something's out of whack in your mind, in your diet, in your body, in the people around you, in your environment. It could be so many different things that are messing with the chemical imbalance. So depression is something that is happening in your brain, and same thing with anxiety. Here are the best 4 things that I found that really like helped me snap out of my funk. Number 1 is food, and I don't mean binge eating a bunch of so delicious vegan cashew ice cream, which temporarily makes me feel amazing. Like I feel just warm and bubbly inside. But after, sometimes I feel sick because I just ate a whole pint of ice cream, But not what I mean. What is it that's going into your body? Are they high vibrational foods? Are you eating a lot of meat and dairy? That has an effect on you. You want to make sure that happy foods, good foods are going into your body. So maybe you're not ready to go vegan. I get it. It's fine. It can be hard. Not really, but I get it. You don't want to yet. Start here. Cut out red meats, cut out processed meats. Start your day with a smoothie, and
no more fast food.
I don't even know how they call it fast food. It should be called fast chemicals, because that's legit all it's doing in your body. I don't know if you've ever eaten fast food recently, but when you do, you're full for like 2 seconds, and then you want more because it's filled with drugs. Number 2 is exercise. Doing something active, making sure that you are active at least 30 minutes a day, whether that's yoga or running or walking, whatever you can do, just do it. Jumping, dancing. Dancing is actually a really good one. Probably should have been on this list as its own thing, but it releases endorphins in your brain and it makes you feel really good. So make sure that you are active. The 3 is sunshine. Maybe you live in a place where there isn't a whole lot of sunshine or you don't feel warm. That's okay, but just getting outside and making sure you're spending time outside. Maybe walk when you have to go somewhere that's close by, or just go for a walk. If possible, the ocean. I know whenever I'm like really not feeling great, I'll jump right in that ocean and ask the waves to just wash away whatever it is that I don't need to. The salt water is really great. I've also felt really good after diving into a lake, so any kind of body of water, or damn, just take a freaking bath if you need to. And number 4 is music. Music can make you feel really good. I know I have like this like weird obsession with like when I'm sad, I'll listen to like really sad music so I can cry. Maybe that's okay for a little bit, but then you gotta switch it up to something happy, and maybe that's another time to dance. See, we mentioned dance twice, so dance around your room, shake your booty, and just live your life. Take time alone and get to know yourself. Meditation is something that is so powerful and so crucial for everybody, especially if you're dealing with depression. And meditation doesn't have to be this like intense, eyes closed, sitting up straight situation, although that is like really, it's really good. If you can do 5-10 minutes of that, or if you have a really hard time with meditating, try yoga. Just focus on your breath and focus on intentional movement and moving with your breath. Or a meditation that I really like is going outside and just literally looking at things around you, observing the color, the texture, the shape, the sounds. Check in with each of your 5 senses. Those are all types of meditation. So you have to find the meditation that works best for you, even a guided meditation. Some days you're going to feel better than others, and you don't need to be so hard on yourself. Just because you slip back into a depression doesn't mean you can't pull yourself out of it at any moment. By choosing, you're not going to feel that way anymore. Most of this is mindset. Someone told me once, this was actually an ex-boyfriend that told me this, but like, that doesn't matter, right? It's fine. This stuck with me, basically. He said happiness is a choice. Every single day you have to choose, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do what I can to feel like the dopest, coolest, hottest, flyest Savannah that there is, you know? But I mean, like, be the best version of yourself. Anxiety is purely mental. It's not something that you need medication for. Before trying to take any meds, which I strongly discourage, I would try these 4 tips for at least 3 months before doing anything. And part of a healthy diet is lots of water. You should be drinking at least 2 liters a day. That's like a lot of water. Just get it done. Get that first liter in your body for first thing and drink the second one before 6 o'clock. Water. Anxiety is purely mental, and any resistance to that is the egoic mind trying to take over and tell you otherwise. Anxiety is a symptom of living outside of the present moment, outside of right here and right now, the only time that life actually exists. Things might not always go to plan. Be stubborn about your goals and flexible about your methods. And maybe you don't even know what your goals are. Sit down and think about that. Think about things that you can accomplish today. Think about things that you can accomplish in a month, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. And be flexible. Know that, things might not always go the way that you originally hoped, but usually the things work out better. Don't be afraid to take a day off when you need it for your mental health. Sometimes we get into this mindset of,
I have to make this amount of money, I have to be with this person, I have to stretch myself so freaking thin
that there's nothing left of me. Take a day off when you need it, but make sure you get back up and get back out there that next day or the next 2 days, that you're not staying alone and wallowing in your own self-pity. Try something new, meet someone new, hang out with friends, put yourself out there. If the friends that you're around aren't making you feel good about yourself, maybe it's time to make a change. I feel like the best place to meet anybody is at a yoga studio. So at least try there first. Get out of your own head. Try doing yoga, going for a run. Do something physical where your body is moving and your endorphins can get pumping through your body. And if you're really not feeling it and you can't pull yourself out of this funk, you feel like there's nothing you can do, life is just miserable and it's never going to get any better, try helping someone else. Help someone do something, whether that's a person, an animal, cleaning up trash around your city. Do something for someone else and see how you feel after. I feel like I have not had a great way with words today, so if you want to hear me get really deep and in my feels, then you should probably follow my Instagram, because I'm a whole lot better of like writing things down and like conveying it that way. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If any of these tips were something that you learned new, or there's something that you learned to deal with your depression, please comment below, because you never know who you could help. Be there for your friends. Ask people if they're okay. Honestly, listen to people when they tell you the issues that they're going through. You might not be able to understand where they're at, but it could be really hard for them. Be the friend and the family member and the coworker that you need. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. You got this.